Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. This is SeamstressAtArms, and in this series we're going to be exploring costume design in general and design renderings in specific. In this episode we're going to be covering the basics and, the fundamentals, as it were. I know there's a million video tutorials on basic drawing, especially people, so I'm going to be briefly covering the basics of figure drawing, some vocab words as they apply to this field, and, general costume design stuff. Firstly, the title, render or rendering. This refers to what you would think of as the finished costume design, a fully colored, finished piece that is ready to be handed on to the next person in the costuming assembly line, so to speak. Usually this is a piece painted in watercolor, but I've seen everything from traditional media, digital media, even collage with fabric or paper, or even, flower petals, found objects, that sort of thing. But in general, you'll have a fully colored rendering, showing the full figure, including some dynamic pose and other design elements to represent what your character portrays, key words that this person represents, or how you want people to feel about this character, things like that. We want a fully designed hair and makeup look, some detail views sometimes, especially if you have accessories that you want real detail on. And then often, most of the time, you'll have swatches of the fabric that you want used attached directly to the rendering. Later on in the series we'll get in more detail, but I just wanted to give you an idea of the sort of end result that we're going for. Now, what I have going on here is a croquis, which is just the French for sketch, essentially. This is specifically what I was taught and what they asked me to call it in my costume design courses. That's what we've got going on here on the left. If you are familiar with sculpture, it's basically drawing a wire armature. It's very stick figure-like, ball joints to help you figure out exactly where you want the limbs to bend, that sort of thing. But from a fine arts perspective, we would call this figure drawing, and that's what I'm doing here on the right, is the more gesture, loose, a lot of filled in bubbles, you could say, to kind of flesh out the whole character. And, both ways are totally valid. As you can see here, it's already kind of ready to bring in some details. You could totally flesh out the more, wireframe stick figure guy. It just really depends on, which method you'd like to use to improve your skill. For instance, do you struggle with proportion? Maybe, the two-step, like, do the wire armature stick figure and then fill it out and then add detail, add that extra step so that you can break it down to simpler and simpler things. Or maybe you find yourself stiff, or find it really hard to just get something down on paper. Try the more gestury approach and really, get the hand moving, move all the way up to your elbow, shoulder, big movements, lots of circles. Just get something down, get something on paper, get moving, that sort of thing. It just depends on what you need to teach yourself. It's really up to you. Either way, you can use these to get your basic shape down and then put a piece of tracing paper or a light board, whatever, and use them again as the kind of skeleton, and then you can refine your actual design from there. So, yeah, that's just the absolute basics. Next time we'll talk about proportion and that sort of thing, specifically, the 8-figured head and how, the human body relates to itself as far as measurements and all that is concerned. So yeah, thanks so much for your time. Again, I'm Seamstress at Arms, and this has been Render Me This. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.